Jack, what did Jean Beliveau mean to this organization?
You know, I was thinking about it this morning, and there's something. The Canadiens as a franchise are different than any other franchise in the sport. We know that. But there's more to it than just the 24 Stanley Cups. They do things in a different way. There have been lapses when the organization fell down a bit. But they've always been held to a higher standard. And I think the reason for that is Jean Beliveau. He, you know, people say, well, he was one of the two greatest players in franchise history, whatever. Beliveau is the Canadiens. He made them what they are. Without Beliveau, maybe you're looking at 18 Stanley Cups, 19. The number doesn't matter. The point is, with Beliveau, they stood above the rest of hockey, above the rest of the world of sports, just because of the class of the man, the impact that he had on society as a whole. I think the reason you'd look at this as the absolute Cadillac of sports organizations today is because of Jean Beliveau.
On and off the ice. Now, Arpon, you weren't born, I don't think, when Jean Beliveau's career ended, but what's your thoughts on the man you've dealt with him?
You know, I mean, speaking, like, furthering to what Jack was saying is that, you know, you always, whenever I went to cover a game, I would always make a point to look in those two seats behind the Canadiens bench to see Jean-Elise Beliveau and make sure they're there. And there was just a certain sense of comfort that came with that. But to further to what Jack was saying is that, I mean, you imagine as a Canadiens player, you're coming back to the bench and you're having a poor effort and you had a bad shift and you look up and Jean Beliveau sitting there, probably a little disappointed.
He wouldn't even have to say a word, right?
You know, he wouldn't have to say it. I mean, you just look at this guy who is just, you know, the epitome of everything that you would strive to be as a person, as a player and everything, and then say, okay, well, you know, I really didn't give it my best that shift. So there was a certain presence to him, a presence of excellence that I think did resonate to the players, to the coaches, to the GMs, to everyone around the organization. And he is really the one guy, I mean, when you become a sports reporter and you're a huge sports fan your whole life, you know, there's a certain sense of awe about the whole thing and everything, but eventually it wears off. You realize these people are just people and oftentimes are, you know, not the best of people either. But, you know, Jean Beliveau is the one person who that sense of awe never left me. I was literally scared of the man. He did nothing that would make you afraid of him. He was a warm, welcoming, you know, generous person with his time. But for as long as he was coming around the Bell Center, he is the one person that just intimidated me the entire time, just because you knew you were in the presence of greatness.